just unmute yourself.
You can use the mic or just drop your introductions in the text.
All right, is no one willing to share? All right, it's okay. We'll get more flexible as time goes. Just be open, be free. All right, go ahead.
Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, Ahmed.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum. How are you guys? I'm Mohammed Wani. I'm currently in 12th class in DPS doing humanities, and yeah, I'm here to explore what I have to do after 12th.
That's great.
That's great. We're great to have you there.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else, or we could just start with the presentation?
Hi, I'm Abdullah.
I think that will be it. Where you can. Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Abdullah.
Hi everyone, my name is Abdullah. I'm a freshman at ASU, Arizona State University, doing computer science right now. And I got the scholarship for like 60% with the co-op program over here.
That's
That's
great to hear.
great.
Congrats, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Anyone else? We're loving it, actually. Please drop in.
All right. Then I shall start again. With that being said, let's dive right in. Firstly, before starting the actual session, let's talk about what a college list is. As the name suggests, it's just a list of colleges that you're going to be applying to. And you'll most likely use the Common App to apply to colleges. And the Common App allows you to apply to up to 20 colleges, but no more. Moreover, there's an application fee that you must pay to apply to each college. This fee can be waived for some colleges, but we'll talk about that some other day, inshallah. All right, with that in mind, it should be clear that making a good college list is essential and will set you along the right path for your entire application process. In this workshop, we have tried to cover the most important factors that you should consider while making your college list, and we'll be explaining them in detail along the way. Feel free to ask any questions and just be free. This is a casual session, and let's get on with it. The factors we'll be discussing are as follows. We'll be discussing the cost of attendance and the financial aid, the types of colleges, the program, the location, campus life, individual interests, admission policies, academic and career services. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sanan to start the first session.
So the average cost of attending US institution is generally really high, and it's usually not affordable for most students. So as an international student, the cost of attending a university should be your first priority. You should consider it as the topmost factor when deciding on your colleges. Luckily for us, there are some ways in which we can reduce that financial cost. Financial aid refers to the assistance that you can get from an institution to fund your studies. There are two types of financial aid. The first one is federal aid, which is generally reserved for US citizens. So we won't be getting into that. The type of aid that is available for international students is called institutional aid. And that can be divided into two categories. The first category is need-based aid, and the second one is scholarships. With need-based aid, they are determined on the basis of your family income, assets, or savings. You need to send colleges your info, financial info, and they will decide on how much you need to pay. However, some colleges might not exactly meet your need, even though they will say on their website that they are need-based. So you need to be aware of that. And some college websites will mention a certain specific amount of family contribution that they will need from you. And if you're not fulfilling that, they will not even read your application. So the second type of financial aid is called scholarships. Scholarships are awarded based on your GPA, your test score, your activities, or any other criteria, except financial need. They're also divided into two categories. Scholarships can be automatic, which means that you're guaranteed the scholarship if you fulfill the criteria. or they can be competitive, which are not guaranteed, and you need to go through a certain application process. And there can be interviews, and this type of aid is generally really limited. College websites might give you a detail on the award amounts, the different types of scholarships that they have, and if the scholarships are stackable or not. So that info you can get from the college websites. That will be, we have campus employment. Some institutions might guarantee you a campus employment, and they will tell you how much you're going to earn. That's one way of earning on campus. But in some institutions, you'll need to apply for jobs, and the availability of jobs might not be guaranteed. So that's a way you can fund your education. I wouldn't really say education, but you can fund your daily needs and stuff. So if you have any questions regarding this process, regarding cost and aid, you can drop them in the chat.
Also, I would like to tune in to say that if you are considering taking campus employment, please don't think that it can help your tuition or your house and rents, because usually the maximum you get per year out of your campus employment is like $2,000 or like $3,000 and no more, and that does not count towards your tuition or housing at all. Please go ahead, Sanam.
Do you guys have any questions?
Also, we really don't want it to be a very serious meeting. You guys can just talk about anything concerning your applications if that helps.
Okay, I'm going to be going over some common terminologies that you're going to witness when you research about colleges. The first one is in-state and out-of-state. You're generally going to hear them in phrases like in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition. In-state tuition generally means for tuition for the American residents, and international students would come under out-of-state tuition. The out-of-state tuition is generally high for international students if you're talking about universities, but in liberal arts colleges, the out-of-state and in-state tuition are the same, but they're also really high. Another term that you might come across is EFC, and that is short form for expected family contribution. It's the amount of money that your family is going to be paying per year towards funding your education. Another term that you might come across is need blind or need aware. Need blind institutions are the ones that don't factor in your ability to pay for your education. But there are only 6 need blind institutions for international students, and they're generally the Ivies, and it's really hard to get into them. The rest of the institutions that you're going to be researching are going to be need aware, which means that your ability to pay for your education is going to come in as a factor, and it might greatly affect your chances of getting in. I'm going to be waiting for, if you have any questions, I'm going to be answering them in the chat. Maria, can
Yeah, we can like perhaps
start
wait for
again?
a minute or half and see if anyone has some
Okay.
questions, because
We'll-
honestly, there
we'll
should be
wait for
some
2
questions.
minutes.
I believe kids from the upcoming cohort have joined. It's a good chance for you guys to actually kickstart your college list and get some insights about what college you could consider and what college you should not consider. So generally requesting you to ask some questions that you're thinking of. And I think I could go next about programs, if I may. Okay. Yeah, sure. The second thing we want to talk about is programs, because when you're applying to a college, you certainly do want to consider that, okay, this XYZ college is a great college, but does this college have the programs that I want to study, that I want to do, for example, a pre-professional program that I want to do. So you can apply to a college, but eventually if you don't have your program or your intended degree there, it's going to be useless. And there's something that I would really want to pinpoint, especially to those who are applying upcoming session May. Watch out for school prestige and program key strength. It's very important. You can say, oh, I'm going to apply to 10. Okay, there's 8 IVs. I'm going to apply to at least 3 or 4. But be careful, because if a school is really great, it doesn't necessarily mean that the program there is great as well. For example, Johns Hopkins is a great school. Everyone knows Johns Hopkins ka naam and what goes on. But if you're a computer science student, perhaps Johns Hopkins is not the best school. Johns Hopkins is great for medical students and literature students, but not the best for computer science. Now, I'm not saying it's not good enough for computer science, but definitely not the best out there. So you need to make sure you actually evaluate and prioritize your own program. If you're a humanities student, look for colleges that have a strong humanities program. Now, you could ask me, how will I look for a college that has a strong humanities program? How am I supposed to know if it's strong or not? You're probably going to check the college's commitment to the given major, humanities, for example. Someone here was probably a humanities student, right? So you're going to go on those college website and see what program there is. Could someone just check in the texts that they're dropping? Because I want to talk. Someone, you could cover that, I think. So I was saying you have to actually go to the website of the college and go through your program, check the classes, check the requirements, check the courses they're offering. You have to actually evaluate if the college is making efforts towards the program, towards expanding the program, and going through the depth and breadth of the program. See if the college is willing to make amendments. See if the college is making funds towards the program. Does the college have research projects going on for incoming students who are in that program? Does that program have internship available for kids? You're definitely not going to get internships in your freshman year, but ahead of that, does your school have internships available? You can ask your, for example, I was a computer science major and I wanted to apply to Denison, actually get into Denison, but I was rejected. Sucks, but I was rejected. I talked to their computer science chair and I got to know a lot of things about that college. Now, it could be something as basic as I would find on the internet, or something I could only find through the teacher. The person, the professor there, I specifically asked him, sir, can you tell me what companies come to this college when they're looking for jobs, when they're recruiting students for jobs? And he basically listed all those companies that were giving jobs to kids from Denison. It's just another way for you to contact the admissions or the required department and ask them. I wanted to know how strong this program is. I wanted to know how many students graduate, because if a program is strong, many kids will apply. If, for example, if you're at a big school and only 20 students are in the computer science program, it's a sign that the computer science program is not good. But on the contrary, if you're in a liberal arts college and there are, let's just say, 30 to 40 students in a program, it's fine, because liberal arts colleges have a smaller number. So you need to evaluate that on your own. It's going to take you time. It's going to make you do some extensive research, if I may, but you have to clear that out. Also, I would want to focus on the fact that your available degree and major should be at the college. You guys need to evaluate. Do you want to do bachelor's of arts? Do you want to do bachelor's of science? Do you want to do bachelor's of engineering technology? What is it that you want to do? And does that college provide you with the degree or the intended major? You could be an engineering major, someone who wants to do mechanical engineering, but the college you're applying to does not even have a mechanical engineering degree option. So you need to be very careful while doing that. Also, another way for you to check if the college is strong enough in your program could be reviewing the course catalog. Another example, while I was actually reviewing if I should accept the Bryn Mawr offer that I received, I asked Moin for help. And the first thing he told me was to review the courses available at the college and see what classes they offer. See if the classes offered are challenging enough, diverse enough, and academically strong enough. If not, then I might have to think about it. And if they are, it's a good sign. And you could perhaps check about the internship opportunities again. Usually most colleges, especially liberal arts colleges, make sure that kids get an internship or research opportunity starting their second year of college. So does your college have that research opportunity or internship or externship available for you? If you're a humanities student, you can still check up. There are so many big companies that go to colleges and recruit kids, even in humanities. So you can go check that as well, see how it works. Just an overall sense where you need to prioritize your own program, your own major instead of the college, the prestige of the college. In the end, it does not count. I think the first factor, as Saman said, cost and need is something that you really need to consider. But second of all, it's not school prestige. It doesn't matter. Once you're in the US, it does not matter if you're at a great school because the opportunities there are going to be extensively better anyway. So you have to be realistic while applying to colleges and not shoot your shot at every single college. Shotgunning is a thing that happens for international kids. But even if you shotgun, you have to be very careful which school you shotgun to. You cannot just apply to all the 8 Ivies and all the big schools and expect an acceptance because, frankly, you probably won't. We're not qualified enough, and they don't really want international kids who are asking for financial aid. So I think those are a few things that you need to keep in consideration while applying for colleges, while looking for what college to consider. And yeah, this could be a way for you to get in touch with the faculty and be very specific with the faculty you're consulting. If you're a CS major, consult the CS faculty. If you're a humanities major, consult the humanities faculty. Film arts, film. Be very specific. Yeah, if anyone has some questions, please go ahead, drop in. We're here.
All right, Maria, there was a question from Maria Kirmani. She
Yeah.
says, what if there's a cap on how many colleges one is able to apply to? There is a cap. There's a cap of 20 if you're applying via the Common App. There are other sources to apply from, but I think that's the most common.
Yeah,
what should
Common
be
App
the
is very common.
Now the question
go
is as follows. What should be the suggested ratio of safeties, target schools, and reaches for that number? Like how, yeah.
If you are an international student, there are no safeties for you.
Exactly.
So every school you're going to be applying for is going to be
There you go.
the school. And because you'll need a lot of aid, I'm assuming you'll need a lot of aid. I don't think there are any safeties for you.
There are none actually. And if you're going to state schools who don't give like full rides or like a lot of scholarships, those schools are pretty difficult to get into because you have to consider your financial situations as well. So there is no safety for you. There is not even a match or a target for you. Maybe a target could be a very small community college or a state school, but everything else, every liberal arts college is still a reach for you. So I don't think that, oh, I have to do a safety, reach, and match because, I mean, technically you still have to do that, but you have to consider that most of the colleges are going to be reach colleges for you. And for the top Ivies, top 50, I would say just if you're intended of applying on like a big school just because you want to, or if you have a dream school, leave a spot or two for it, but rest, be very careful and be very realistic while applying. We don't want you to shotgun in a very negative way.
Would you like to tell them about the number of colleges you applied to? Just the number.
Sorry?
How many colleges did you apply to?
Oh my God. I don't really know if I have the number because I think I did take up 15 colleges on the Common App. But one good thing that I did was a lot of other colleges have their own portals to apply to, and they have their own specific portals. For example, like MIT has its own portals. Other schools also have their own portals, and that they do offer fee waivers.
So they don't take up space on your Common App if you apply
they
via
don't.
their portal.
So if you have
That's
like 20 spaces on Common App, you still have some other schools that have their own portals that you could use to apply to. So do consider that. But Common App, it's 20. Coalition App, it's 20 only, I believe. I am not sure about Coalition App as of now.
All right. Are there any other questions?
And not necessarily. I'm not sure if colleges get to know it, but it could be. They could actually know it. It doesn't matter really.
And even if they know about the other colleges that you're applying to, it won't affect their decision.
Earlier, before COVID, it may have had an impact. For example, in order to protect the college's yield rate, if they found like a student is very good enough for their college, and see that they apply to even better colleges that the person has a great chance of getting into, they might actually reject because they want to protect their yield. But after COVID, and especially for international kids asking financial aid, it does not matter. The school will think 10 times before spending a single penny on you. So it doesn't really matter.
Maria Kirmani is saying that her school essentially has a 10 school cap to apply to. What does that mean?
Okay, wait, are you like
But
a
you're not-
UWC student? I'm guessing, but if it's a 10 school cap, I mean, if there is no way you can apply to more colleges, then you should definitely be on the safer side as an international student, especially if you're asking for a considerable amount of financial aid. Be careful. And also, while even you're applying for colleges with higher acceptance rates, you have to be careful which schools you apply to, because not many schools with high acceptance rates give a lot of aid. Like they might give you 50% or like 75% scholarship, but that's their cap. So you have to be careful and evaluate. Yeah. It's a loss though. 10 schools is less. But then again, like Wath said, you can add a few reaches. It's a one shot. Who knows what if you get in? And it's okay to apply to your dream school if you have one.
Yeah, that's like if you really want to apply to some schools,
Yeah.
that's when you should maybe think about applying to one or two.
Yeah. Don't apply just because the name is big or like someone else is applying and you don't have an IV or something.
Yeah, there are tons of good schools that are not like on the prestige list, if there is such a thing.
I'm not sure if many kids here know there are a lot of non-IB IVs and different schools that are really great. So just don't go after prestige. It's going to get in your head. And then once you're done with the college application process, and God forbid if you're rejected, you're going to regret applying to those colleges. I mean, we did when we first applied, even though we were not technically at fault. Maybe who do you want to continue? I guess.
Yeah, I'm going to continue the session now.
Yeah.
Now let's.
Sinan.
No, we'll skip this. We'll come back to it later. All right. I'm going to talk about location and how it influences your college, how it should influence your college list after the factors that we discussed up to now. So after costs and aid, probably. We're going to talk about location in terms of opportunities and internships available. And then we're going to talk about location in terms of costs, climate, and people. Yeah, we're taking everything into consideration here. Then we're going to talk about the diversity at a different college, the clubs and organizations at that college, and just the general quality of life. I'll be explaining those terms as we go along. And at the end, I'll talk about some other factors that can come into consideration. Let's get started with the first one. The location of your college may greatly influence the amount of opportunities available to you. Metropolitan areas generally provide you with more internship opportunities, but it does vary based on your university. You should always refer to the official university websites, or you can contact alums and current students to get an idea of the quality and quantity of different options available to you. In a metropolitan area, you'll generally have easier access to transportation as well, which in turn can save you a lot of time and make life just a tad bit easier in some ways. In a rural campus or a suburban community, suburban is generally between urban and rural. So in a rural setting, you'll generally find a more tightly knit community. People will be more, they'll get to know each other a lot more. You'll be able to connect with a lot of people from your college, as you'll not be lost amongst like a sea of people and other distractions. On the downside though, you'll probably find lesser internship opportunities, as there aren't a lot of local business and companies to work with. Now let's talk about location in terms of costs, climate, and people, starting with costs. Location should be considered in terms of the cost of living at a particular university. The cost of daily commodities and rent, varies a lot from place to place. So it's in your best interest to take it into consideration early on. As you can see it from this table, you can just look it up on Google for 2022 or anything. The costs of living vary a lot based on the states. And because obviously cost is a major component of how you're going to be attending your university, these are some things you should look into. These costs may, on their own, may look, tiny: transportation, utilities. Nobody takes them into consideration while making a decision, but they really do add up at the end. And while we're on the subject of money, let's talk about the minimum wage. The minimum wage, as the name suggests, it's the minimum amount of money an employer has to pay you. In this case, it can be the university itself or on-campus jobs. We already talked about part-time internships. Now, while internships usually pay a lot more than part-time jobs, you're not going to be eligible to apply for an internship in your first year. For working at a part-time job, although you can get paid higher, you'll most likely get paid the minimum wage. Part-time jobs are a good way to earn some income while studying. However, it should be noted that part-time jobs, Maria stated this, it should be noted that part-time jobs cannot compensate for your tuition and living costs on their own. The money earned from a part-time job can definitely help you out, but it can't replace the finances that you need to support your education and your living. Now, let's talk about climate. How about that? It should be no-brainer, but the colleges located in different regions of the US will have different climate. Some places get a lot of snow, while some never get any at all. For example, if you get admitted into the University of Vermont, expect to take lots of winter clothes with you. Meanwhile, if you're admitted to a university somewhere along the South Coast, you're going to be just fine in your t-shirts. Climate of a place is important to consider because you're not only going to be studying there, you'll be living there for 4 years. Something to keep in mind. Now, let's talk about people. There are probably a lot of good things to talk about people, to be fair, but we're going to skip the good stuff and jump to this table of crime rates in different states of the US. Although most campuses are going to be relatively safe, some students decide to live off campus. If you decide to be one of them or end up being one of them, these stats may prove to be helpful. Also, a quick Google search will just bring those up. Just a note, these factors shouldn't be given priority over the most important ones, like cost and aid. But if you have to choose between colleges similar in other aspects, these differences can help you decide which is the right choice for you. Okay, any questions up until now? Just put them in.
I mean, you guys can ask questions about climates and stuff and like your lifestyle, because campus life and lifestyle is a big considerable factor, if I may. So please go ahead.
I mean, that's probably not what you're going to be thinking about in the first place, but
yeah.
At the end of the day, it does matter. It does matter.
I mean, think about it. You're going to live there for the next 4 years of your life, or perhaps even more. God forbid if you don't graduate on time. So be realistic. If you see yourself at a place that has like 40,000 kids at the same time, you do you, go ahead. It's great, apply. But if you don't, I would rather not, because you have to manage your grades, you have to manage your social life, you have to network at college. And if you don't like being at that place altogether, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Also, someone asked, any other reason one would prefer a suburban uni over an urban one, except the tightly knit community part? I mean, I tried to answer, but if anyone has more to add, they can.
What did you add?
Any other reason why one would prefer a suburban uni over an urban one?
Well, it's actually just personal preference. You may even get to know your professors a lot more. You may get to form closer groups, and these are things that you may take for granted, but they can be really good for someone who prefers them. You can form smaller connections maybe, but really stronger ones, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Also, usually when you're in college, the alumni network is usually one of the best places for you to look for jobs or like get referrals for jobs. And while you're at a big school that has a considerably large amount of students, it gets difficult to connect with the alumni network and even the school kids there. And while you're at a suburban small school, for example, it's easier to connect to those people who have pretty similar faces that you see every other day. And also, sometimes the professors live on campus, so they're almost like your roommates or like flatmates,
Yeah.
housemates. And they sometimes even ask you to come over for dinner, watch their dog, and like help you over. So all in all, it's definitely nothing to be too
Yeah.
worried about.
Again,
But
the most
if you're not
important
an
point.
Asian
Yeah, go ahead, Mari.
No, that's it. That's all I want to say.
The most important point you have to consider is going to the university website. Just always,
Yeah.
whenever you're in doubt, just go to the university website. Always use official sources. They're going to be, they're going to have listed all the opportunities they have available and everything. So that's your best friend throughout this process.
If it's good, the college is going to brag about it on their
Yeah.
website and every other platform they have. So watch out.
Now, let's
Someone
talk
asked, is
about-
it necessary to
Okay.
have high-end extracurriculars? Wath, could you answer that?
I mean, it depends on the types of universities you're applying to. What do you call high end? Like, what is high end? It could be like you're participating at a national or international level. That could be called high end. Or you know what could be called high end? Something you spend like 4 years doing that's so unique and special to you that nobody else has been doing. That could be called high end. It just depends on your perspective. I mean, if you've just joined a club for the sake of it, let's say you joined a book club. That's not a like just for the sake of it for 2 months and then you quit. That's not a high-end activity. But there could be other activities. When you explore yourself, the best thing about this process, for me at least, you get to know so much more about yourself. You'll get to think about the things you have done and the things you love to do, and you'll get to really think about them and put them in your application. So it depends. High-end doesn't necessarily mean you have to go for nationals or internationals, because I know the opportunities here available in Kashmir aren't that much. But if you have something that you do, that you like to do, and you think it's worth putting in there, go ahead.
Also, I would like to add that, yes, colleges do look for self-starters or leaders or like someone who's done a lot of things. But then that's not the only lot colleges look for. Sometimes colleges, and most time colleges also look for kids who are consistent. So if you're consistent in an activity for the past 7, 8 years, they would like it because you're continuing all throughout those years and not getting bored and even excelling at it. It's a difficult job to do. Consistency and the willingness to keep doing something is good, and colleges like that. You can even tutor kids at your locality. Definitely not for college applications, but for the sake of tutoring them for a good cause. And colleges might like it. But
Yeah.
then it should not be like, oh, I just tutored them for a month. That doesn't work that way. Could be years, countable, otherwise not really. Someone asked a question about exams, language exams. Does anyone want to go over that? Sanan, maybe you?
So generally, you'll have to take either TOEFL or Duolingo as the main language exam. The requirement can be the requirement is mentioned on the website, and there's also a Duolingo website that allows you to check whether schools accept it or not. That's really convenient. There are certain cases in which you're not required to take an English exam. That is if you have studied in an institution where English is the medium of instruction for more than 4 years. But you'll also have to check with the university website if they have that criteria. For me, I would say at least 70% of my schools allow me to, apply without sending any English exams, in any English language exams, because I've studied in a school where English was the primary language of instruction. So I didn't require that. Also, some schools will require you to have a certain SAT score in English, and they will waive your English requirement based on that. For my school, it was around 1300 in the entire SAT, and I had 1480, so they waived it for me.
I mean, even for me, for example, now the waiver criteria differ greatly from college to college. For example, a college could see your 12th and 11th results and see how you scored in English and like literature, and then waive it off. Sometimes colleges will ask for the years, as Sanan mentioned, 4 years or like your entire life at an English medium school, and they'll waive it off. But sometimes, and in one of my college cases, Illinois Wesleyan, they asked me to write a letter from my counselor. They asked me to get it from my counselor that, okay, she knows English, she studied in an English medium school, she's she studied in an English medium school, and she's a good student. So basically that's what they asked. And I had to ask my counselor to give that. So the criteria varies, and you would have to check individually for each single college. I think the next question could go to Wath. How do you know the reality of people campus?
Oh, I haven't been there yet. You actually don't. People are different everywhere, but that's why you have those statistics, just to like see what the general population is, how safe you are in or around campus. If you really want to know, I mean, the places would be Reddit or like Discord. Just ask people who are there currently studying there, and go to like these groups where they'll have things that the students share, not the actual official website. I think that could kind of get you close to where you want. Yeah.
I use Unigo.
Also, one point to add, like Maria said, she had to get a letter written from her counselor, and Sanan's requirement was waived because of his score. All the universities are so different. It's not like your process of NEET and JEE where somebody's going to hold your hand through it. You got to do extensive research. Everything depends on you and how you research about it. Every university has different requirements. Everything is different. Some things are obviously same, like the Common App and stuff, but when you make your college list, that's why this is the first session. You should get started with making a good college list and then research extensively about each of these colleges. Because everything, every college will have something different, something to add, or something that can benefit you. Also, a good start would be to actually give an English exam like Duolingo. That is nowadays accepted in most universities, and you can just give it a while at home, just to be on the safe side.
Don't be like me. I did not give an exam.
I didn't give an exam either, but that was because of the university's exception.
We managed. Yeah, we managed.
We looked at the university's website and looked at what we could do to like skip that. So you should do that.
But in case you're thinking of applying to European colleges, just take the exam. It's going to help you. It's not going to be a loss in any way. And if you're applying to colleges in Europe, you're definitely going to need the English language requirement.
Even for Canada.
Yeah, even for Canada, you're going to need it. So.
Someone asked, I feel like my application would be average. So what chances do I have about getting into a good college? Let me say one thing. Right here, at least among us, there is no perfect application. And I'm definitely in a big doubt if there would be a perfect application, because there is no perfect application. And almost every application is average. If you consider all the statistics, it's your essays, it's how you frame your application that gives it the boost, levels it up. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about what schools you could get into and what you could not, because your application is average. You really have a lot of time to work on your application. So find out a few colleges that you want to go to, that you feel like you can get into, and then frame and shape your application according to those colleges only. I mean, if anyone wants to add something, they can.
Yes, the meeting recording will be available, and the slides will also be shared with you guys.
Sorry?
Blue asked if the meeting recording will be available. Yes, it will be, and the slides will be shared with you guys.
Slides can be shared, but we're not sure if they are. Will they? Okay, I do not know.
All right, I'm going to continue with the presentation because we seem to be running short on time. So in campus life, you're going to look for a lot of things that we already discussed, which is good. We were hoping for this kind of discussion. We already discussed what campus life constitutes of, but you could look for like diversity, how many international students there are, especially if you want to get to know more cultures, different cultures. And even if you like seem to be if you think you're out of place, if you go to some place new, you could look for that. One more great thing is to look for clubs and organizations. This was personally great for me because when you're studying for a major, student clubs and organizations are a great way to study for other things and gain more knowledge in areas that you're not officially studying at the college. You also get to meet like-minded people and just basically learn a lot and get to do a lot. So you can look into every university's clubs and organizations. They're really interesting. So give this a look. Other things you could look for quality of life is like the quality of rooms and meals that they serve there. I don't think it's that important, but what I do want to point out, for example, what I mean by quality is you should look for whether they serve halal meat if you're a Muslim. And if not, you should look for how close is the closest halal food station. Like where can you get the food you want? Or if you're a vegetarian, that's fine. Moving on. I'd like to talk about individual interests. My friend Maria drew this. It's not me at all. But how can an individual interest decide or play a big part in your college application process? So for me, I have grown up playing football. They call it soccer in America, so I'm probably going to use soccer and football interchangeably. I grew up playing football. I've been playing football since I was very little. And I was selected into a university of Central Michigan, but I got to know that they didn't have a men's soccer program. And I was really disappointed in that, but I felt like this is silly. I can't base my decision on this, which is true. You shouldn't base your decision on something like that unless it's a big part of your identity. And after careful consideration and a lot of thinking, I decided that I do want football in my life. I can't part with it yet. I still want to take part in it in college or probably even beyond that. So I ended up not going to the University of Central Michigan. And that was definitely one of the factors why. It might still seem silly to someone else, but if it's big for you, if it's a really big part of your identity, go for it. Like who cares? It's your college list, but obviously we've put this at the end for a particular reason. I think that's it. And I'll hand it over to Sanan for the next session.
So if you're talking about the types of colleges, you'll generally come across two terms, universities and liberal arts. I will be talking about the general differences between the two institutions. So the first difference would be at a university, generally you would have both an undergrad and a grad degree available. And at a liberal arts institution, you'll just have the undergrad. So there's more focus on the undergrad, but we'll see that universities have more funding. So you can decide based on that. At a university, you will have more majors related to a specific niche. For example, if you're going to major in engineering, there will be more options for you. There will be mechanical, electrical, etc. But there won't be as many options in a liberal arts college. You might have very niche majors, so it's important that you keep that in mind. If you have an interest for a specific degree, a liberal arts might not be able to do that for you. Okay, someone is asking me to change my microphone.
Is this better? Is this better than
Sorry?
the previous? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I think I am. I'm not sure about others. I believe so. You can go ahead.
I'll try to be a little loud. So in universities, there's a slight echo. Stable effects. Okay. Hello.
I think, Sanan, you can just remove your earphones if that's what you're using.
I'm using my laptop mic now. Is it better? A lot of noise.
Manageable, though. I mean, to me.
I switched back to my earphones. Is the noise okay? Better now. Okay, so in universities, there are certain majors in which you have to go into the pre route. For example, pre-med, pre-law, etc. Those will be generally available at universities. Okay, I'll switch my mic. I'll do some. Can Maria continue with her slide?
Sorry,
Can you continue with your slide?
my slide. Okay, I can do that. Wath, could you please?
Yeah, I'll come back to this.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so one thing that I would really want to focus, well, it's not the first and foremost factor that you could have considered while looking for colleges, but something that you should really look towards would be the academic and career services available for you at a given college. Now, what you would say why it's important, because generally college is hard, your workload is going to be hard, and sometimes, and most of the times, it's better if you have academic support at colleges. But now what that academic support could be, in terms of academic services, if I may, a writing center, because in college you would have to do a lot of writings, a lot of theses to work on. So usually most colleges do have writing centers, and some colleges do have mandatory writing seminars that freshmen do have to attend. So that kind of helps you build on that writing skills and just the habit of writing a lot of things down so that you get throughout all those 4 or 5 years of college. But besides that, some other resources could include teaching assistants, especially in big universities where there are like 200 kids in a class. Professors usually have teaching assistants to help other kids out. Now, this could be in turn a good way for you to get a job. Well, not a paid job, but like a teacher's assistant is a good place for you, gives you good recognition, in my opinion. And some other ways to include could be, is there a good summer program that your academic service center helps with? Maybe a tutoring program, a peer mentoring program. All these things will academically help you if you're lagging at in college. And usually they help you with maintaining your grades. And especially if you're on merit scholarships, you need to keep up with your grades, because otherwise you lose the scholarship technically. So all those academic services in a way do help you. And even if you're not on a merit scholarship, it wouldn't hurt you to check what academic services your college would offer. For example, Bryn Mawr does have a writing center. It has a Q center. Now, I specifically don't know what a Q center is, but it is something that I know is related to the academic services and something that I should definitely check out. The second thing could be career centers. And this is something I really emphasize upon, because here's a fact. It doesn't matter if the college is big. It doesn't matter if the university is prestigious. If in the end you don't really get good jobs, you don't get jobs easily, because you're on a student visa, which probably will expire after 6-7 months of your degree ending. So you really need that 6-7 months to get a job or like get into grad school. And that's where career centers come into play. Usually these career centers help you with interview practices, mock interviews, building and writing your resumes from scratch. They even help you network with people in college and around the college. They even connect you to the alumni network to help you land internships, externships. Sometimes the alumni network can give you referrals, which is something really big if you're looking for jobs right after your college. So career center is something that you should really focus on, even more than academic services center while you're in college. Here's an example. We all know Illinois, right? It's a big city. It has some great schools. It has Northwestern University, University of Chicago, or Illinois State University, all those big schools. But guess which school has the most rate for like getting jobs within 6 months for every graduate? It's a very small school. It's called Illinois Wesleyan. And graduates there, every single graduate, almost every single, it's like 97% of graduates get jobs or get into grad school within 6 months or less at a small school. It's a liberal arts college. It's not big enough. It's not famous enough. So while on the other side, you have a University of Chicago or Northwestern University, they don't necessarily have really great career centers, but a small school does have a great career center. So it's one of the factors that you could consider, and another way for you to distinguish between prioritizing other things except for prestige. Prestige does not always help, sometimes other things as well. So those are one of the few things that you could have considered while considering career services and career centers. And this is something that I've heard and read a lot, that students who have a good experience at the career center at their college are more likely to say that they have, the college has prepared them very well for the life ahead, or like grad school or like professional field. Which brings me to my next point. If you do get into college when you're done with all this application, and hopefully you get into one, start connecting and engaging with your career center as early as your freshman year, because I've looked around at almost every other website while I was looking for colleges, and students who did not engage with the career center early enough regret not doing so, and students who pretty much engaged with the career center right after they got in and like started their classes said that it was pretty much easy for them to get jobs, or like pretty much easy for them to apply to grad school. Career centers will help you when you're applying for grad schools. They're going to help you with your recommendation letters from your professors. So all in all, career centers is something that you should specifically focus more on than academic services center, but it is definitely one of the places that you could consider while looking at like shortlisting colleges. Definitely not a big factor, but something that I would suggest you to consider. Also, career centers generally help you explore your interests and find a direction. So for example, if you're an undecided student who does not necessarily know what they want to do in college as of now, go to the career center. They're going to help you. There are career advisors that they're going to help you with, like, okay, these are the things that you could do. These are the things that you could explore. See how it goes. If this doesn't work out, maybe you could try that. So they're going to help you with that whole thing and see how it goes. So I think that will be it. So if you have any questions regarding career centers, let me know. Also, I think like someone has asked a lot of questions, so it would be great if you answer them with some, because like I'm done.
Is my mic better now?
It is.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Shao Nai has asked about essays and how she can make them better. Are we discussing that in another workshop, or do you want to answer that?
I mean, we can.
Yeah, but that's a
essays workshop.
Yeah, but that's a topic on its own. That's a very big topic and a very important one. I'd say as important as this stuff. Inshallah,
we could
we'll
keep
have
talking
another
about
workshop.
it and not stop. So we
Inshallah, we'll give it proper time.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to universities versus liberal arts. Plenty of research money. Yes, universities have a lot of funding, and you're able to, if research is one of the main factors that you're choosing, if you want to go to grad school and research is one of the important factors while making a college list, you should prefer university over a liberal arts college. Liberal arts generally don't have a lot of aid. Yeah, so it's better to choose universities if research is on the top of your factors list. Large class sizes. Yes, generally you will have really large class sizes. You will have a lecture hall and there will be 200 students sitting there. Liberal arts, and that also means that a university will have a lot more students. For example, the university that I'm going to be attending has around 40,000 students, and the liberal arts college that Maria is going to be attending has around 4,000 students.
Undergraduate.
3,000 students. So that also makes their class size really small. For example, they have one teacher and 20 students in a class. Now that has its own benefits. For example, you can get to know the professor can know you, you can make connections with other people around you. While that's not really a thing in a university, you're not going to make as many connections, even though there are a lot of people there, but you will not be given special attention. Other than that, if you're into sports, universities are generally Division 1, which means that they have a lot more funding. So if you are athletic, maybe prefer a university if you really want to join the university team and stuff. In a liberal arts, they are generally Division 3, which means they don't have as much funding. They won't have a nice, beautiful stadium generally, and there might not be a lot of scholarships available for athletics and the athletics department. Other than that, the most important factor, the most important difference between these two is going to be the aid and scholarships part. Universities generally reserve their aid for US citizens, so you won't be able to apply for aid there. The scholarships in universities are generally automatic because they have a lot of applicants applying. So if you meet a specific criteria, you will be able to get that scholarship. And that's a good way to, if you want to make sure that you want to get into a specific university, if you go through their criteria, because they generally have high acceptance rates, you will generally be able to get in. And if that scholarship, if that scholarship is enough and you can finance the rest of your education with other sources, a university would be a good bet for you. On the other hand, liberal arts colleges generally don't have as many automatic scholarships, but they do have scholarships and need-based aid. They will mention on their website that they will give you need-based aid based on your family income, but they might not always give it to you. Even though some colleges might even accept you into this university, into their liberal arts college, but not give you enough aid. But that's an option there. You cannot generally get aid from a university, but you'll be able to get aid from a liberal arts college, and that will be based on your financial situation. So liberal arts generally don't take into account your GPA and activities as the sole factor for your scholarships. They will also consider your need. And about the curriculum, Maria, can you talk about that? How the curriculum differs for both university and liberal arts college?
Yeah, sure. For universities, by which I mean those mainstream universities, they usually have a major-based curriculum, or if not that, it's definitely going to be an interdisciplinary curriculum. Now, what does that mean specifically? The university usually have a lot of electives that you could choose and a lot of general requirements at every college that you have to take up. For universities, it's mostly, whatever you do is mostly going to be, supplemental to your major. So you probably won't have something as, what I could say that, for example, if you're a computer science major, you won't necessarily have to take a mandatory humanities class at university. For them, the main focus is your development within your major, not necessarily overall, but they really want you to excel within a particular major that you're applying to, and get that job, get that thing done. So they'll definitely try to supplement your major and your studies in whatever ways they can. Whereas for liberal arts colleges, they have more of this approach about overall skill development instead of just a particular section of you being developed theoretically. So sometimes you'll have some general requirements to take. It could be a writing class. A writing class could be beneficial because in college you're going to have to do a lot of writing, and if you're into research, you're going to have to do even more writing. So taking writing class, it could be mandatory for like a semester or like a few credits. It's going to be helpful. For example, for me at Bryn Mawr, also someone asked me which college I enrolled in. It's Bryn Mawr College. It's in Philadelphia. So for my school is a liberal arts college, Bryn Mawr. So for me, I have a particular set of general requirements that I have to complete before graduating. One of them is either I have to pass the swim test or take the swimming classes. So because the school wants me to be physically fit, I'll have to do that. And besides that, I have to take up some scientific inquiry classes that will help me, with my critical analysis and thinking. But alongside that being said, it's not that I do not have my major studies there being focused. Here's what it is. So consider liberal arts curriculum to be a circle, okay? So 1/3 of that circle is going to be a general requirements. They're going to ask you to perhaps do some writing classes or take up a humanity class or do some maths classes or science classes that are general and pretty much mandatory for everyone else. So that's 1/3 of your curriculum. The rest 1/3 is for your major and just your major. So you're going to take up classes and some other courses that supplement your major only and nothing else. And the last 1/3 is going to be for you to explore. So it's going to give you a chance to explore while giving an overall development sort of vibe to your academics and studies. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll just add one thing that could probably help you as Kashmiris. Not that it matters, but at a liberal arts college, you're going to get an arts degree. So if you're doing computer science at a liberal
Not
arts college,
necessarily.
not necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay. I
But they do have
thought-
an option.
I saw like a Bachelor of Arts in Computer Science degree. So
Yeah, here's the point. Something that I didn't want to clear initially. You have to be very careful about what bachelors of arts mean. While you get a bachelor's of arts, it does not mean that you're majoring in arts. For example, computer science, if I do bachelor's of arts in computer science, I could be a web designer, a graphic designer, a URI designer. But if I do a bachelor's of science in computer science, I could be a software engineer, tech specialist. Now, it's not mandatory for me to choose those particular streams, but it's pretty much more what I'm inclined to. If I have an arts degree, I'm going to do more of web designing, user interface designing, graphic designing for computers and websites. But if I'm a bachelor's of science or B.Tech student, I'm going to be more of software, more of hardware instead of more of designing. So that's the only difference. It's going to land you the same job anyways. But do check it out. If you're not interested in bachelor's of arts, don't do it. If you are, go ahead.
all right. Okay, Sanan, you have your next slide. I think we should kind of take it a bit faster because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one more classification that can help you out. It's public versus private schools. It's another keyword that you'll find when you're researching colleges. Public schools in general are funded by the government, so they have a lot of money, and they also have a lot of money for research, etc. Private schools are generally aided by private donors or institutions. Large public schools have a larger class size, while as private schools have a smaller class size. Public schools are cheaper because they are government funded, while as private schools are way costlier. But they also may have a strong aid program because public schools will generally fund the US citizens and not the international ones.
So why did you stop?
I think that was it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry. I was answering a question in the chat, so I think it's just one more
It's-
slide. And then
Do
we
you
can...
recommend dropping?
Maria, can you talk about this? I'm answering.
Yeah, I mean, I did reply.
Okay, wait,
something.
we have a question here. By Barik Mehboob, would you recommend dropping a year after 12th to work on everything in the free and focus on just my academic profile and do my ACs in the top year, or just better to manage everything before September?
Honestly,
and
would not
apply this
recommend.
year only? I wouldn't recommend taking a gap year just for your activities. I think you should start applying and you will get a general idea of everything goes. We also applied twice and there was a lot of difference when we applied the next time because we had applied the previous year. If we had taken the gap year without applying that year, I don't think we would have improved our applications like we did. So yeah, I would suggest.
I wouldn't have
say
gone
that,
in a single school if I had not applied.
Yeah, so I would say that you should. The benefits that will come from you applying this year as well will outweigh the benefits you can get from just taking a gap year and focusing on your activities. And activities, they're not really necessary, but the colleges just want to know that you are a diverse person and you're just not just into academics, but you can do other stuff as well. So you can even mention hobbies, but not like I write, I read, not like that. You have to go deeper into that. You have
Reminds
to
me of
show your
something, Sana.
passion for a hobby.
Reminds me of something that we did.
Reminds me of something.
Also, I would want to add, if you do your activities and stuff just that 1 year you take your gap year, colleges are going to see it and they're going to pinpoint it that you only started building your application that in the year that you took off, and that's generally not a good sign. So I would say it's going to be a very hectic year for you if you applied this year, but it's going to be worth it, definitely. So I wouldn't suggest you taking gap year. I mean, and of course, please do have backups. Don't be like us. Some of us did have backups, some of us did not. Don't be like us. You could do better than us.
All right, did we talk about this, Maria?
Yeah, which one? Sorry.
I can talk about it.
All right.
So when you're approaching decisions, there are going to be different decision rounds that you can apply in. The first one is going to be EA. The deadline for EAs would be, EA means early action, and the deadlines for EAs would be around September to November ending, but you will have to check with your university's website to know. Not every college will have this option, but if you find a college that meets the other requirements, for example, cost and aid, it has scholarships and financial aid for you. And if it also has EA, that would be your best bet, because early action means that you're interested in the university, and that's why you're applying early there. But if you get in, you don't have to commit to that university. That's what that means. And you can also apply EA to other schools. That's not a binding in EA. Whereas in REA means restrictive early action. With the universities that have REA won't allow you to apply to other schools in the early round. They want to make sure that you're applying to just their university and you're not demonstrating the same interest to some other university. That also shows interest. REA shows great interest, but it's generally not recommended. I would say apply to as many EA schools as you can and make sure you complete their essays and stuff before the deadline, because the deadline is sooner than the RD one. Other than that, ED would be the best option if you're sure about a college. It will really increase your chances of getting in, but unless it's an IB or if an international is applying, your chances are really low anyway. So ED is that you cannot apply ED to multiple schools, and you have to commit to that specific school. If you get in somewhere else in your RD round, you cannot ditch your ED unless they don't give you specific aid that you require. You cannot ditch them, and you cannot go with your RD schools. In regular decision, you can apply to as many schools as you like. It's not binding. It's not. There are no restrictions. And that's about it. And in rolling admissions, RL stands for rolling admissions. Some universities will have an option for you to apply throughout January to May, I would say, and those are generally state universities. Those are called rolling admissions, and they won't have a specific date when they will release their decisions. They will release their decision based on when they have received your profile. So if you're applying, they will just check your profile and send you the result, and then they will check another's and send them their result. They won't have a specific date when they're releasing all their decisions. So that's good. And there are no restrictions in rolling admissions, yes. So college-specific policies and deadlines. Some colleges won't give you aid if you apply in a specific admission round. For example, there was a college that advised you to apply in the regular round if you wanted aid, and if you had applied in the ED round, it wouldn't have considered you for aid. So you have to check that when you're applying through a specific admission round. You have to check the policies for international students. You have to check the aid policies. You have to check the deadlines, you have to check the essay requirements, etc. But I would say it's generally better to apply early. Maria and I had picked a lot of early schools. Maria had picked more than 5, and she had applied EA to them. One more benefit that comes with applying early is that you will receive your decision really early. With EAs, it's like you will receive them till January. With ED, it's like you will receive them mid-December. And with regular decision, the cycle will receive them in March or April. If you get into an EA school, I think it really puts the stress off you. So it would be really good if you apply EA to multiple schools, but not a lot of schools allow you to apply EA to them. So you have to research about that, because EA is really good and it shows interest, but it's not restrictive. So generally Ivies and prestigious schools won't allow you to apply EA. Except
I would
MIT, I
also-
think. I think
Sorry?
MIT allows people to apply EA and it's not restrictive.
Yeah, right. Also, I would want to mention one thing, that REA is generally not a safer option because it restricts you to apply early to only one school. And that is even more riskier than applying just ED. Now, here's something that I would want to tell you while you're applying for colleges. You have selected a bunch of colleges and you check which colleges have EA and ED and every other application available. I would suggest apply to more than 5 schools early action. But then here's the thing, be careful about what those 5 schools are. You would be like, okay, maybe if I go all early action or like on those big schools, top 100 schools, there could be a chance of me for getting in. But it doesn't happen that way. So I would suggest you to apply to schools that you could consider safety. There is no safety, but something that you could consider safety. Maybe apply to state schools in your early round, because many state schools have scholarship priority. So like it's like first come first serve basis. If you apply first, you have a better chance of getting the money they have for scholarships. Many state schools do have it like that. So apply to state schools in your early round. And applying to state schools is comparatively easier because they don't have too many essays that you have to answer. And apply to schools that you feel like you might have a chance of getting into. Could be liberal arts schools, but schools that have generally higher acceptance rates. Yeah.
Also, we're going to
Keep
be
the number
talking about
at least above 5 if you're applying early. Sorry?
also, we are going to be talking about how to research your colleges and how to make your college list in the next session. And we would also be discussing the tools that we use and how we research through the entire process and how we organize the college lists. That could be really beneficial. So if there is something that you're missing in this session, keep your questions ready. We might answer that in this session, or we might answer that in the next session, which is happening on Sunday, I guess.
Someone asked if they should use some templates for LORs or personal statements. LORs, yes, you can, but it's good to have something very, quirky, something very distinctive of your own. But then for LORs, you can definitely take up a template. Personal statements, I mean,
I don't think you should copy a template. Like template.
Yeah, don't copy it.
Template should be there to give you an idea of how it should be.
Yeah, what the structure could be like. It should not be
you're not supposed
spread
to
out.
copy it.
Yeah, don't copy it. Please don't plagiarize. You're gonna get blacklisted if you plagiarize. So yeah, make sure you don't. For personal statements, you can refer to some templates or like someone else's essay to get an idea of what an essay could be like. But definitely do not take the idea, or like you can take the structure, but like not the entire idea and the concept and the way they place their essays with different things. Don't. Your personal statement is your story, something that you need to work on your own. There, of course, are there people that would help you with edits and give you reviews and suggestions, but it's on you. It's your story, so you should be the one who's going to write it and no one else. Someone said, please repeat ED, Sanan, if you can.
I think Wath answered it.
Thank you.
Can you post the link to the Wath guide in the chat?
I have it. Definitely, I can. Please, guys, you can check out the guide. It's really helpful. We have
deep, and
a lot for that guide.
if you haven't already checked out the guide, you should definitely do it. It goes over everything we just said in a lot more detail, and it could be a good reference for you to use.
I'm also adding some other resources. For example, it's a Reddit subpage for international students who are applying to US. It has a lot of beneficial stuff for you to look over. You could just interact with the community there, people for same as you, applying to colleges, many of whom are applying for financial aid as well. So it's good to have people that are going through the same thing as you. And I'm also dropping the link for the Wath database for colleges. We worked hard on this one as well. It's a list of colleges with their acceptance rates, with their status, I think, with their decision deadlines. Mind you, it's not always up to date because everything changes every single year. So it's definitely good if you do research on your own. Also in the Wath guide, there could be resources mentioned that you could use to, look for colleges that you want to apply to, or like just filter your college list. Yep, please refer to it. It's going to be helpful. Also, to those of you who are going to join us for the next session, yeah, A to C is really nice, applying to college. Also, sorry, for those of you who are going to join us for the next session, it would be good if you come up with a college list of your own. I mean, especially for those who are in the cohort, the upcoming cohort and applying, I would suggest you, and I would not actually suggest, I would want you to come up with a college list of your own. Can be as vague as you feel like, and we can help you filter it down. Maybe let's just keep it like, get 8 schools on that list. Some could be reach, some could be safety, some could be with higher acceptance rates. Well, I would suggest you to have half of your college list at least having acceptance rate more than 50, no, 40, 50. So yeah. And is there anything else that you could help them with for the next activity?
Just a second, I'm answering a question.
Sure. Where do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. You should take into consideration the things we talked about, especially the most important factors, like the type of college and whether that college offers the major you're interested in. And of course, first of all, the cost and aid. Just make up a list, just try to make whatever you can. And in the next session, we're going to be filtering through that list, like Maria said. We're also going to be...
Yeah, it would be great if you guys just...
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead, come on.
We're going to create and organize a college list from scratch, hopefully in the next session. And we're going to be introducing you to a tool called Notion, which is going to be, you probably can see it in the databases made in Notion. It's a great tool for tracking your progress and for aligning yourself and your objectives very well. And we'll also be mentioning other tools as we make the list along with you people, like niche.com or US News. There are lots of great tools that you can use to ease into the application process. We had a lot of, we had to do a lot of work to get those tools together, but if you can take advantage of those tools efficiently, it will give you a great boost. Trust me, it'll help you out a lot. So do join us for the next session. It'll be great. Any other questions? You can ask away.
In what ways do APs help? No, we did not take APs, but maybe Sanan and Red could answer that.
APs are generally not required for the university. People take them to get into advanced courses into college. If you get a good score into AP, that is definitely a good indication. But I would say focus more on your grades and your SAT score. And if after that you have some time, you can look into APs. That definitely gives a good impression, but it's generally not.
I mean, it's not going to kill you if you don't have APs. We did not have APs. We managed to get into schools. But it's good if you have time and if you feel like you can score well, because giving APs is definitely going to cost you money as well. So make a rational decision.
Yes, it's going to take you a lot of time and it's going to require you to travel to a different state, I guess.
APs are going to be just like, they're just going to give the colleges an idea of how good you are in a particular subject. You could take AP in biology, chemistry, computer science, anything, and they'll get to know how good you are in that particular subject. Now, what AP you take depends on the major you're planning to apply to. So
I would say focus more on the SAT and your grades.
If you're giving the SAT.
Yeah.
So how much SAT score do you guys have?
You'd have to study more for your APs as well.
Maria.
Don't talk about me.
Maria applied test optional. I sent in my scores. I had 1480. Who had 1530.
Yeah, I applied test optional. I don't know
Maria,
how I got
you're
into
on mute,
schools. Sorry?
Can you talk again? I didn't hear you.
I mean, I applied test optional and I don't know how I got into schools. So don't apply test optional. I was just a lucky kid, I guess. No, but like I applied again and I did find ways to improve my application in general overall. I did pay for like attention to the rest of my application as well, even though I applied test optional. So it was a lucky thing, I guess. So don't apply test optional. And I don't think schools will have a policy for test optional kids in the upcoming rounds. So don't risk it. You have time. We would never know what ECs had the most impact.
Yeah.
We would never know. You could talk about your ECs if you want to. So I don't know who is.
I'd probably say, yeah, we don't know what ECs probably impressed the colleges, but if I had to guess, they would be the ones I listed at the start of my list. And I had a lot of like leadership qualities in my ECs. So I created a small organization and helped out a lot of people over a long period of time. Like I had been working with that organization for almost a year and a half. We helped a lot of people. And another EC was a personal project. It was major related. It was a computer science project that I was working on. And yeah, I think I don't quite remember the others, but similar ECs. I had 2 or 3, like 3 or 4 ECs that were okay, quite good. And and I had 2 or 3 more that were not as good, but they weren't rubbish. Like none of my ECs were, I didn't have all 10 of my ECs filled. But just to tell you that, I had 8
You
of my
just need to
ECs.
have really good 5 ECs.
Yeah, just
That's
whatever you
enough.
care about, whatever you have worked on the most.
It's going to be a holistic review, and it's not like they're going to compare your application with the rest of the applications. They're going to compare your application to what opportunities you had in school. So make sure you get the best out of everything you had available. Give your best, be consistent. If you're in 12th or 11th, these are 2 years that you really need to work hard on. And I don't think it would be best if you lag a bit or decide to take a gap year now. It's not the time. Don't do it.
Yeah, now is definitely not the time to think about a gap year.
Also, I feel like most of you will be applying, and by now technically you should have had half of your college list ready. But just to give you a timeline, around April to July is the time you should have your tests done and your college lists are not ready, but like there like a few colleges that you know that you're definitely going to apply to. And right after July to like mid-October, you really have to focus on your essays, your supplements, your personal statements, your LORs, your academics, all of those things. So make sure you have that particular time focused on the writing part. Please get done with your college list by, what is it? It's April now. By May or like 1st June, please get it done. It's a lot of time for you to research. Please get it done. Be very careful. You can definitely refine your colleges list as you keep going with the process, but have a few basics ready. And then I believe your early deadlines would be November 1st, mostly, or like first week of November. So you must have a few essays, your personal statement, everything ready. Basically, your application in a way should be ready if you're applying early by October. And yeah, by December or like first week of Jan, you'll be done with everything, every college application. And all you have to do is wait. Someone asked me if we should prefer TOEFL, Duolingo, or IELTS. TOEFL and IELTS is one and the same thing. Colleges don't really prefer one over the other. See what's affordable for you.
I think
and
US
see what works
colleges
for you.
prefer TOEFL over IELTS. But most universities
It's a common.
are having.
TOEFL is something that most kids who apply to US take, but it's not like you cannot submit your IELTS scores or Duolingo either. Well, like check if schools are taking Duolingo school scores. You'll have to.
Yeah, if the schools you're applying to all take Duolingo, that is like the best option for you. Just go for it straight away.
Also, for the person who said the biotech project, make sure you've done significant work in that project, and it should not look just for the sake of college applications, but you should definitely include. It can be something that but do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Maria. Sorry.
Go ahead. It's okay. I'm done.
Yeah, if you say it's good, if it's good according to you, you'll. We talked about what good is or kind of what good should mean. If it's good, you should definitely list it.
If you feel like it has taken a considerable amount of your effort and
Yeah.
time, mention it. But like, make sure you know how to mention it. You cannot just say, "Oh, I did a project." Make it seem like you actually made efforts.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like kids who are joining us for the next session, please come up with a college list if you can. We would love to see what you can come up with, and we would love to, suggest a few more changes if you
Yes,
may.
definitely. It'll help you out as well, for sure. It'll help you out a lot.
Definitely.
It'll speed up your process. So just get started. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. Just use these criteria, make up a college list, and we'll help you refine it later on. Any other questions? We'll end it right after.
I think we should wrap it now.
All right. With Sanan Alien saying that, it was CSS. We will talk about CSS in another session, I think. What about
Yeah.
CSS? What about the CSS?
We can talk about it in the next session if you join us.
That shouldn't be your concern right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about it inshallah in the upcoming workshops, the next workshop, hopefully. It was great talking to you all. Have a nice day. Have a nice iftar. Okay.
Yeah. Stay hydrated, guys.
Yeah, we'll meet you again soon, inshallah. Bye.